I used to be such a people pleaser. Whenever someone asked me to do something, my default answer would always be yes. I thought that saying yes to everything would make me happier and make people like me more. I would run around always feeling busy and overwhelmed, but also disappointed that nothing important ever seemed to be getting done. Fast forward to today, and I can finally hear all the red flags in that statement. And I know that saying yes to others just to please them is not only super effective, but also quite toxic. So today, I'm going to share with you a framework that helped me prioritize all the things in my life and focus on what's really important to me and not just to other people, the Eisenhower Matrix. This is a tool that has helped me transform from being busy to actually being productive. Before we get started, I would really appreciate if you could like this video and subscribe to my channel if you're not already. To start, what exactly is the Eisenhower Matrix? Quick history lesson. Dwight D. Eisenhower was the President of the United States from 1953 to 1961. He was a top general during World War II. He established NASA, founded the Interstate Highway System, and signed the Civil Rights Act of 1957. Needless to say, Eisenhower was a pretty busy guy. He famously said, "I have two kinds of problems, the urgent and the important. The urgent are not important, and the important are never urgent." This was the foundation that led to the creation of what is today known as the Eisenhower Matrix. Basically, he divided all tasks into one of four buckets: important and urgent, important and not urgent, not important and urgent, and not important and not urgent. By thinking through what category a task belongs to, you can decide how best to approach it. I'm going to go through each of these categories one by one and give you a few examples and some suggestions about how to best approach them. The first category of tasks are things that are both important and urgent. This can include things like completing an important project with a looming deadline, filing your taxes at the beginning of April, handling an angry client, or taking your sick cat to the vet. The best way to handle these things is to do them as soon as possible. Tasks that are important and urgent often have very clear and immediate negative consequences if they are not completed in a timely manner, and they can be stressful to procrastinate on. Unfortunately, spending too much time putting out metaphorical fires can leave you feeling stressed and burnt out, and like you're always playing catch up. We've all had days like this, where suddenly a project or opportunity falls onto your plate and forces you to drop everything to deal with it. If you spend all your time here, you can quickly lose focus on your long-term goals and priorities. The good news is, by focusing on the next quadrant in the Eisenhower Matrix, you can often reduce the amount of things that end up falling into this category. The second category in the Eisenhower Matrix are for tasks that are important but not urgent. This is where you'll find things that are aligned with your personal values and your long-term goals, or that may save you time and stress in the long term, but may not be screaming loudly to be completed right now. These are things like professional networking and development, continuing education, practicing a hobby or a new skill, regular exercise, preventative health care, and preventative maintenance on your car. Even though they are not urgent, blocking out time to prioritize the things in this quadrant will bring you joy and fulfillment and will help you feel like you're making progress toward the things that are important to you. There are also things that will benefit you in the long term, which can prevent things from becoming important and urgent emergencies. For example, if you spend a little time and money now on your car maintenance, you'll reduce the chances of having an expensive and urgent car maintenance emergency pop up. Similarly, if you're a manager who invests time and effort into training your team when it's not urgent, they'll be more likely to handle issues on their own, which can reduce the number of fires that you need to put out. It may not be fun or glamorous to set aside time for these things during the course of your daily routine, but the results found in this quadrant are going to have the highest payoff. The third quadrant of the Eisenhower Matrix are things that are urgent but not important. Be careful here, because the things in this quadrant may be important to somebody, but that somebody might not necessarily be you. These can be things like handling an interruption from your coworker, or checking your email every time you see a notification, certain administrative work, or coupons and sales touting a limited time offer. This is where I personally used to have lots of issues setting boundaries and managing my time. I get tons of emails each day asking for help with minor issues or administrative help that aren't really my job to handle, but each one only takes a few minutes to respond to. The problem is, those things can really add up. This is also where being a people pleaser can become an issue. I would always say yes to people asking for a quick favor that will only take a second, but how often do those things end up taking way longer than 1 second? The best way to deal with the things that are urgent but not important is to practice setting boundaries for yourself and to practice delegation. I would also recommend not working on these items when you're experiencing your peak creative energy. For example, I personally feel my most energized and creative and motivated from around 8 to 11 a.m. So I should try to spend those peak hours on the most difficult, important, and high impact tasks. It would be a waste if I spend that time answering less important emails that can wait until after lunch. Once you start managing people's expectations around the kind of things you will do, you'll be surprised how quickly these things just disappear. Here's an example from my own professional life. I used to bring my laptop on vacations and spend just a few minutes each day responding to emails and requests that I saw as super urgent. My out-of-office notification would even say something like, "I'm on vacation, and I will be delayed in responding to messages each day." I was setting the expectation that I would still be available during my vacation, so of course people kept expecting me to respond. Finally, I decided to set a clear boundary, and now my out-of-office notification says, "I'm on vacation with no access to the phone or email until I return next week. For urgent matters, please reach out to my colleague at such and such address." And guess what? People stopped expecting me to respond right away. The fourth quadrant of the Eisenhower Matrix are things that are not important and not urgent. Things in this category can include binge watching Netflix, or going to happy hour, or scrolling through social media. These things are also commonly referred to as time wasters. One important note about time wasters, though, sometimes they're important to reset and relax, and they're not always bad. We don't need to be productive all the time. Rather, try to delete these tasks from the time you want to spend being productive and enjoy them in moderation. By being intentional about the way you spend your downtime, you can rest and recharge and not become stressed by using them to procrastinate on other things that are higher priorities. And these are the four quadrants that make up the Eisenhower Matrix. When I first learned about this framework, it really helped me think more critically about how I spend my time and reprioritize certain things so that I now spend more time focusing on my own goals and priorities and wasting less time. That said, though, this is a framework just like any other, and life is not always going to fit perfectly into four simple boxes. I've come to realize that the frameworks like the Eisenhower Matrix are a great way to guide me in prioritizing, but I need to not beat myself up or feel like a failure when I don't perfectly prioritize every single day of my life. Some days I sleep in too long, sometimes I waste hours scrolling through Instagram, and sometimes I spend my hours of peak energy cleaning out my inbox, and that's okay. As long as I can practice prioritizing according to my values the majority of the time, I know that I'll still make meaningful progress toward my long-term goals. And that is all I have for you today. I really hope you've enjoyed this video and feel at least a little bit more clarity about how you're choosing to spend your time. If you enjoyed this video, you might also enjoy this video I made about how to use the Ivy Lee method to plan my day. So definitely check that out here if you're interested. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.